Now, boy, army, welcome to another spicy one on the channel. In this video, we are going to be looking at the 4-4-2 and what makes it the best balanced meta formation in the game. You know, on this channel, I'm always trying to give you different options, talk about the best players, but most importantly, give you lots of formations and great tactics you can use. Last week we talked about the 4-3-1-2 and why that's the best attacking meta formation at the moment. We did an up-to-date video on it yesterday with the tactics on the road to glory. Today we're looking at the 4-4-2. If you like these type of videos where I go through tactics, top formations, the best players, cheap value players, all this type of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video. It helps the channel grow. I appreciate it a lot. But for this video, like I said, we are looking at the 4-4-2. The 4-4-2 is a fantastic balanced meta formation. The way this video is going to work, I'm going to go through why it's so good, what makes it balanced, what makes it one of the top formations on FIFA. I'm going to show you some gameplay tips and advice on how you actually use the formation, how it plays in game. I'm going to be showing you in-game clips where you see goals, how I defend with it, counter-attack, all this type of stuff. And then I'll finish off the video with the actual tactics so you can see the tactics I would recommend in this formation. So we'll go to the 4-4-2 and then you can see here the formation. We're going to go through the strengths of it, the weaknesses, the type of players you want. The strengths of it. Straight away, you can see it covers pretty much every area of the pitch. You'll see this in the gameplay in particular, but the fact you have two strikers is instantly a win. For me, on FIFA for the last couple of years, having one striker has limited you quite a bit. The AI is very good in the box, so you need enough men in the box to cause issues, in my opinion. The 4-4-2 is going to do this. It's one of these where the 4-2-3-1 is still viable, and I've talked about that this year, but I just always like having the two strikers there. Left mid and right mid, you'll see in the gameplay clips later on, make lots of chances. They overload the defenders, they pull men out of position to make more space for the strikers. So you almost have a front four at times with the two left mid, right mid, and then strikers. And then you also have two centre mids getting forward. You have the flat back four, which is nice, very defensively solid. And like I said, it's just so balanced because it just covers every area. One of the big strengths is because it covers all those areas. The press is really good in it. It's very rare you play against someone who'll get a lot of space against you. And I think a big strength is it just doesn't really have a major weakness. No one plays against the 4-4-2 and thinks, great, I'm going to target this. One of the weaknesses, if I had to give one, is maybe the gap between the strikers and midfield. Maybe there's a bit of a gap there because you have a cam to link it together. And the fact it doesn't have any massive strength for the most part. I think its biggest strength would be pressing and options across the pitch. There's not really too many massive strengths in this, which you can capitalise on too much. But probably another area as well, I'd say, is on a cheap team, this formation probably isn't quite as dominant. The attackers, I think you can get away with a cheap team. It's more in this team, or this formation, you need two really good, probably top-end midfielders. Marcus Llorente is like 100, 150k, and he fits that perfectly. Zidane's obviously going to fit any system perfectly. I just don't think you can get away with two like cheap defensive-minded midfielders as much. It'll limit the formation a lot. I do think this team revolves around the midfield a lot. If you can have two top centre mids, it's going to make a big difference. The types of players you want, really, keeper defence is pretty much standard. For the fullbacks, you do not really need anyone special there. Obviously, this team have got pretty special fullbacks with inform Theo Hernandez and the middle Cafu. But you could go with pretty shithouse fullbacks, to be honest, who aren't really going to bomb forward because they're going to be on stay back. For the midfielders, you could use like a Kante, but I do much prefer, personally, having box-to-box, well-rounded midfielders who can do a bit of everything. For the left mid and right mid, I want a right footer at left mid who can cut inside for finesse shots, and left footer at right mid. The option to cut inside and hit finesse shots keeps your opponent second guessing, will honestly help a lot. Having the finesse shot trait on your wings is quite nice for those finesse shots, but not vital. Pace probably matters more out wide than it does up front on this game, I would say. But up front, 5-star weak foot and skills is more important than out wide. Obviously, you want weak foot and skills wherever you can get it, but it definitely matters more out wide than it does. It definitely matters more in the middle, sorry, than out wide, but I like pace out wide. That's generally how the 4-4-2 lines up. Like I say, super balanced. Doesn't have many major weaknesses. Let's get into some gameplay clips, show you how it plays, and then we'll get the tactics in after that. In this clip, you're going to see the movement, shape of the 4-4-2, and also the tactic, what works really well with it, the press, and how hard it is to play against. So let's play the clip here. So you can see here straight away a good run down the line from Pele. The left mid and right mid in the 4-4-2 are really good at pulling defenders out, and when they pull the defenders out, it makes more space in the middle for the two strikers and potentially two centre mids to bomb forward. See a ball roll scoop there. It's a nice idea, but I mess it up here. I probably here should turn and then pass it there, because I've got a lot of space here now in the middle of the pitch. The other thing as well is when the left mid is occupying space around there, quite often the right mid will tuck inside and create an overload. They're a bit stupid by me, but watch here now what happens. You'll see when we get to tactics that we have press after possession loss, and watch what happens. The left back there, Theo Hernandez, just runs forward because it's a very aggressive tactic. Because you've got the flat back four, they're going to cover the sides. He wins the ball in an aggressive high up position. It's a bit risky, but it's high risk, high reward. Go back to the midfield. Llorente there, nice pass. I'm not sure why Messi's gone there, but this is something I noticed in the 4-4-2, especially when you've got really good players, that they tend to rotate, float around a bit. Messi goes into a good position. We pass it to him there, and then it's a nice, easy finish. That's all come here from the press. Very high attacking tactic. I like this tactic as well because, again, it's not defensive. You can make this formation a bit more cautious, a bit more neutral, balanced, I would say. I play it in a more aggressive way, but the way the formation plays, you can do it in a variety of ways. That's one of the great things about it. Here, lots of great movement, play between the centre mids, allows me to play quick there because I've got these three options around the box. And then from there, you can't really miss that, can you? Beautiful goal. And there is the 4-4-2 in action at its finest. You can see here another goal we score on the 4-4-2. I lose the ball there. I forced that a bit. That's one of the key things I would say in attack do not do on this game. Don't force things that aren't there. See there, though, the press after possession loss again. 4-4-2 covers every area, so they don't really have a get out. His only pass that was completely free, really, was to turn and maybe switch there, but Pele could have got there. There wasn't really any easy out ball he had. So Zidane presses there and puts me in a good position. We now have 5 men around here. This position here, Ginola can either turn there and shoot or do what I end up doing and pass first time. This is the left mid, like I say, especially because I don't go too high on the width. They can end up cutting inside at good times. And then from there, it's just a case of wait for the keeper movement, see where he goes. And it's an easy finish. This has all come from aggressive pressing with the 4-4-2. Lots of options now, quick passing, and then my left mid tucks in. The front four that I see in this formation are the two strikers, the left mid and the right mid. They all get involved lots, and they're very hard to deal with. If you have 4 attackers like mine, it obviously helps a lot, but you don't need 4 elite attackers in this. The sheer fact of having the left mid, right mid, 2 strikers who get involved is very hard to defend. This is a very simple but short clip that effectively shows the shape of the 4-4-2 and why it is hard to break down and how it is good for counter-attacking and going forward. Let's watch this. So they take the goal kick. I generally would recommend taking your goal kick short and working back that way. But even then, look at the radar at the bottom. You can see here, there's not a white triangle, that's the opponent, who's got really that much space. He goes there to one of the ones who had space, and then look now. These 2 strikers here occupy these guys. My flat midfield 4, left mid, centre mid, right mid, occupy these 3. And then his attackers there, you can see on the radar, are pretty much covered as well. So here, he goes out wide to try to find space. He could have turned and gone there, but then the right back here had occupied the man. He doesn't really have an easy option here because the 4-4-2 covers every area, so it's very hard to attack against. Here, I end up messing up. I should have through balled at that time when Cruyff's made the run. This was awful by me. But again, that showed there the opportunity I had on the counter-attack to catch my opponent out after winning the ball back. And again, there, it was very hard for my opponent to do anything. There was no options for him, and that's just instantly from a goal kick. This isn't me on constant pressure. This is just the general shape of the 4-4-2 and how it can be frustrating for an opponent to break it down. And then in turn, the counter-attacking opportunities you have as soon as you win the ball. You can see here at the start of this clip that I've been caught out a little bit. I've got a lot of men left up the pitch. I've probably dove in a bit stupid here with Marquinhos. Look at that. You don't really want to be pulling your centre-backs out like that unless you're certain of getting the ball. You can make the 4-4-2 a more cautious, balanced formation. I'd say, like I say, it is the most balanced meta formation in the game, in my opinion. And part of being balanced is that you can use it in a variety of ways. If you want to be a bit more defensive or you're struggling with getting caught out a bit, you might want to put one of the centre mids on stay back. Here, I dive in and get caught out. That's my fault. So he's through in position here. I kind of bait that there. If you're in a position where they're running at you and you've not really got enough men back, the best thing to do often is do what I did there. Run your centre back, cover the through ball, most dangerous thing in behind, and hope that they fall for that. I go back to the keeper here, and then you can see he's pressing me. The best thing you can do here is just do a full power kick up. If you see someone in space quickly on the radar, go for it, but don't risk wasting time to look for that and take a touch and get tackled. Here, the 4-4-2 is actually, it's a small perk, but it's a pretty good one where there's normally going to be someone free. Especially when you do these kicks, the strikers tend to get them. Zidane, I've triggered an L1 run. He's running through. I go to the other striker. My centre mid bombs forward. My left mid's in front. And then from there, we've gone from nearly conceding and then within 10 seconds, counter-attacked and gone to the other end. Having centre mids bomb forward with left mid, right mid outside, it is so hard for people to stop the 4-4-2. Its counter-attacking's amazing. Its pressing's amazing. The amount of options you have to overload people's amazing. It's good for keeping the ball. The only real risk I find in the way I play it is getting caught out a little bit because I'm playing a high press tactic. But you can change that. You might not get the same benefits as being as aggressive, but you can be a bit harder to break down. The 4-4-2 is an amazing formation with lots of options. Let's get into the tactics and show you how I play it, the instructions I use, and just, yeah, how it all works in general for me. Here we are with the tactics. For this tactics section, I'm just going to show my 4-4-2. If you watched yesterday's video, I do show the ultra defensive and defensive. But yeah, this is just the 4-4-2 tactics we are looking at here. The 4-4-2 you can play in a variety of ways. Honestly, you could go drop back and really low width and depth and play a very compact, narrow formation defensively with two banks of form, be very hard to break down. Personally, what I like with the 4-4-2 is how good it is at pressing. You saw in the gameplay clip earlier how easy it is to press with it, because it just covers all the areas of the pitch. Not crazy on the width, because you've already got natural width with the left mid and right mid on the defense. The depth, I go quite high to try to take the game to my opposition. On new gen in particular, the depth does not make much of a difference there. Press after possession loss. You can't go constant pressure the whole game, but press after possession loss is a very good way of winning the ball back aggressively and quickly after you lose it. For the build-up play, it is almost default for me. Balance. I feel like offense matters a bit less in the sense of, compared to the defensive style, like the offense is more built around how you input things on your controller and how build up. There's different types of build-ups you can go, obviously, but I just prefer on a default, more normal tactic balance. Width, you could raise it a bit if you want to stretch teams out more to try and make more space in the middle. For the instructions, we got stay forward on the strikers. That's the only change there. It's one of these where some people prefer stay central, but I do like the option of them having balanced whips, so maybe they can rotate sometimes with the left mid, right mid. For the centre mids, we have cover centre. That is the only change there. If you had like a Kante, I'd probably put him on stay back, but I do think this formation works best when you have two midfielders who can do a bit of everything. For the left mid and right mid, I put get in behind, get into the box. That means that they're always trying to stretch teams out wider, which makes more space in the middle. I put come back on defense to try and make sure that it's a case with them that they can actually help me defend. Messi, I've got to stay on edge of the box for his finesse. I'm not sure if having one on get into box or stay on extra box is perfect, but it seems to work for now. Stay back on the fullbacks. You do not need them to attack. You can trigger runs with them with the L1 or L1X passes. Sometimes I get them to overlap, but for the most part, no. And then stay back on the centre backs, and I put one of the centre backs on step up. That's Marquinhos for me in this case. That is the tactic. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Appreciate you guys' support as always. Keep it spicy. I'll see you in the next one.